And for love's sake, each mistake, oh, you forgave. And soon both of us learn to trust, not run away. It was no time to play. We build it up and build it up and build it up, and now we're solid. Solid as a rock. That's what this love is. That's what we got. Oh, solid. Solid as a rock. And nothing's changed it. The thrill is still hot, 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 hot. All right, what's up, y'all? That's the song that captivated my soul today, literally. Solid as a Rock by Ashford and Simpson. A dynamic duo, perhaps a sacred union of sorts, I would say so. Definitely a supremely creative one. And I went to watch, I had to, because I couldn't stop hearing the song in my head. I went to look up the song, and I didn't realize that there was actually a video for it. So I'm gonna post it because it's so vintage New York. It's like the old cab. It was like in the 80s, you know, those supremely old cabs, yellow cabs that you see like in those old movies. And I'm almost positive it was shot in Central Park, which is also, of course, you know, just one of those iconic places to be in the world, let alone in New York City. And I just want to say, like, of course, like the connotation of the song itself is definitely empowering, given this space of time that I've been talking about, and the spirit of the time of just divine unions coming into accordance with one another or being elevated in some new way. But the video really impressed me in a sense, you know, in the love sense, because the premise of it, and I'm going to post it on the community tab, is that they were separated at first. And at first you see Valerie Simpson, and, you know, rest in peace to Nick Ashford, who passed away some years ago. But they were separated at first, and first you see her in the park, and she it starts to rain, and she runs into this tunnel for cover. And then she starts the song, obviously, you know, shout out to her, because I could never do her voice the justice that it deserves. But Nick comes and runs after her. I don't know if they had just gotten into an argument, if that was the premise or whatever, but they start singing this song together, and at first it's just the two of them, and then slowly but surely people just start magnetizing to this scene that they're creating in this tunnel, you know, amidst the rain and stuff, till it builds and literally build it up, until eventually it's like a whole crowd, and the crowd is so massive that it's spilling outside of the tunnel. And I just thought that was so interesting, you know, when I've been talking about unions in particular and what they really mean to the creative consciousness and evolution of how individually, those that are have a divine intention certainly are a vessel of inspiration, a source of inspiration, a force of inspiration. But together is when they began to really attract the masses. And it was like a whole community around them, a crowd gathered around them, just vibing off of the love energy that they were pulsating and emitting one to another. And then it started to spread, you know, and that was exactly the idea that I talked about in my last message. If you haven't checked it out, definitely do so, about just how this supernova energy that we embody combusts, you know, individually and collectively. And it attracts others to that force, and then they begin to combust, and then others are attracted to that force, and so on and so on. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the video if you go check it out, because it was quite entertaining. Vintage New York. But Wheel of Fortune is under the deck here. Definitely solid as a rock, because ain't nothing more solid than karma, one way or another. And that's in every energetic sense of the word. That's what this wheel represents. The Wheel of Fortune is about even cosmic evolution. You know, it's about expanding, the expansion of energetic force by way of Jupiter, you know, the Jupiter energy, and, you know, just progressing forward in a very profound way, you know, not in a small way at all, because Jupiter is a big planet. So I'm curious to see where the message goes. That's just where I had stopped shuffling before. It's not really connected to the song as much as I'm making it be connected, but you know, it is kind of like a rock, you know, sort of. I don't know. Hopefully you are solid as a rock, or in whatever that you're doing, you're stable and secure. And if you're in a commitment or a relationship, whether it be personally or professionally, I hope that it's something that is grounded. And as we're in this full moon energy and Venus retrograde, that you are allowing yourself or allowing the universe to assist you in eliminating anything that isn't solid as a rock. Anything that's not built on solid ground is not sound. Okay? So here we go. We got the Four of Pentacles and the King of Cups. And then we got the Eight of Pentacles. Interesting. So the Four of Pentacles, initially I'm saying, oh, he's solid as a rock. Maybe someone is solid in their emotions, you know, in their love energy. They're very certain or sure of how they feel about someone or something. And we got the Eight of Pentacles here. Now she's definitely, Nine of Pentacles. She's definitely solid as a rock. This is actually earth energy, as this is too. Water, yeah, definitely not. It's probably the very opposite, but water and earth are very complementary elements. So I feel like we need a little more information to see where this is going, but this is definitely being conservative about your energy in some way, shape, or form in the upright. It could also be holding back or being too reserved, or holding on to some, I hear either holding on to some emotional expression. You know, there's a wave of emotions that want to push through with the King of Cups, who is also sometimes even known to be a little bit reserved. Even though he can be emotional, he can also not be as communicative as, say, the Queen of Cups can be. So these two together, maybe possibly there's some holding back, you know, of those emotional waters, you know, that holding that dam up with your bare hands, like like this Four of Pentacles here. He's holding on to something in a very practical way energetically. So maybe there is a flow of feelings that are emerging, and it's beginning to be hard to hold it back, perhaps, for some object of affection here, who in her own existence is stable, sound, very secure, and independent. You know, so I'm feeling like someone that is highly emotional may be reserved about expressing himself in the direction towards someone who almost kind of seems like, you know, she's good. You know, she don't really need nobody, or let alone want anybody. So maybe that's the reservation here. I don't know. We'll see. I saw something under here. The Empress. Yeah. Oh, and here's the Ten of Cups. Yeah. Maybe there's... Oh, no. I hope that's not the case. I hope that the energy is not feeling like they're not enough, or they don't have enough materially. Yeah, because that's what this disparity is giving me here. That this is the ideal, this Ten of Cups situation, but somebody is not feeling worthy, or not feeling like a matchup to someone that they put on a pedestal. they highly revere in some regard, primarily on the count that she's just independent and self-sufficient. You know, for some masculine energies, that can be intimidating, you know, in a sense. It should be inviting, especially in this day and age, but it just depends on the masculine who is who's observing the possibility of this union or connection. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has enough materially to offer someone who's already established in her own right, and also that his emotional self would almost like drown her, or like oversaturate her energy in a sense, because it's like too much. You know, it may be overwhelming that he feels so much but has so little to show for it. I don't know. Oh, I hope not. That would be sad. All right, let's see. All right, Spirit, give us some more color around this story. He's holding on to every penny, or he's holding on to something. I think it's ideal to note that the difference between the Pentacles and the Cups, though. We build it up and build it up, and now we're solid. Solid as a rock. Let's see, let's go like this today. All right. Yeah. Oh, shoot. And she back out here. Oh, and this is back out here. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. There has to be some correlation with what I just said for it to just literally pop back out. And he's looking back. And look. Oh, that's sad. What's the matter? Oh God. All right, so we got the Nine of Pentacles, and then we have the Ten of Cups again. So there's just like this idolization of love and happily ever after that someone is feeling, you know what I mean? At least the masculine, or I would say definitely the masculine, but perhaps the feminine as well. It's just not, it just doesn't look like she is, because she's just living life, you know, and I think ideally that's the space and time that you would want to be in before you get into some partnership or union or commitment. You would want to be in a space where life is fulfilling all on its own. You don't necessarily need anyone to complete you or make you whole, even though I love the song by Amel Larue, Make Me Whole. I love that song. But ideally, you want someone to just be an addition to your contentment and to your happiness and all those wonderful things. Definitely not a subtraction or distraction from it, but you don't necessarily want to feel void of some satisfaction before you get into a relationship, or I just don't think that you'll ever fully be satisfied, you know, because I don't think that we're supposed to necessarily be the ultimate satisfaction for one another before we can be it for ourselves. So it's like he's looking back at the past, you know, and I don't know, like, what's the essence of this King of Cups? I'm going to ask, because why is he in so much regret and remorse about the past? And obviously he rejected a cup of love at some point in time, even being the King of Cups. Oh, so this was a king. Maybe he's a King of Cups now, but in the past, now I kind of see this. He was more materially focused and possessive, you know, more thoughtful about how much, you know, working and how much money he had and made and saved and, you know, all these other things. And love was just, you know, secondary, maybe not a thought at all in this stage. And now he's in some type of regret and remorse for objectifying material things and rejecting love, because he's now in a loving stage and idolizing partnership, as I said, and union and commitment and, you know, that happily ever after that he thought would come through this pursuit of material wealth, or riches, I would say, more than wealth, because the 10 of Cups implies the whole shebang. It's love, it's wealth, it's contentment, it's spiritual satisfaction, it's legacy, it's, it's lifetime achievement here, and multiple streams of income. And perhaps he couldn't see the forest for the trees, literally, in both of these cards here, because his focus was so singular. You see here with the Four of Pentacles, like I said, he's holding on to everything he has at this time. And now he's realizing that perhaps the object, or the ideal object of affection, which would be some Nine of Pentacles energy, who is whole and complete, who is self-satisfied and gratified, would be the match for him in the highest vibration. But for some reason, there's a disparity here where he's holding 4, she's holding 8. So for some reason, it's like he got a whole lot of love to offer, or at least a whole lot of emotions. I don't know. With the thought of this past energy, I don't know if it is true love, or if it's just a cup of regret and remorse and resentment for choices that were made, like just taking the wrong gamble, literally, on life, focusing on carnal constitutions instead of spiritual ones. That can cause one to be very resentful and resistant to the future, even, because nothing really feels as satisfying as perhaps the engagement or connection that was once had naturally, and coincidentally, his focus veered in a direction of material wealth and gain, and not love. But this object of affection here is what I'm having to see it as, is just as wealthy, and even more so in a better position, in a sense, energetically at least, maybe even not actually in a physical sense. But the Nine of Pentacles is someone who is not desiring much of life. She's very fulfilled and secure and stable. It definitely is an implication of financial stability, but certainly just as equal as spiritual stability and soundness. So yeah, this is not a solid energy. This is not solid as a rock to be looking backwards over your past and not being present with your current circumstances, because you can't project anything forward from that perspective, and it's certainly not from resisting the divine's nourishment and replenishment here in the Three of Cups. This is literally two energies of looking backwards. So I'm gonna have to say that this cup may not be as pure as even the King of Cups might want it to be, because there's too much disdain for the past. Maybe if there was some present cleansing of perspective, this could be more pure of an offering. But right now, these are implying that he's just really regretful of what he doesn't have, or feeling some type of way for what he's lost or what he passed up, with the Three of Cups down below. So let's see what else. Yeah. And here is the Knight of Wands, which is another kind of like derogatory card for me in terms of, and from as a derivative of the King of Cups, him being the masculine energy on the board, because yeah, and look what's peeking out at me again. And here, oh no. See, the objectification is this gift here. He's still financially focused in the grand scheme of things, but he sees the object of his financial fulfillment as some connection with real love. Maybe he's actually learning the value of what pure love and affection, what force that really is, that it's much more prosperous and limitless, infinite actually, than anything that the earth can, then you can manifest in the earthly aspect. So he's still looking at the grandest of all grand pentacles, this gift of prosperity that he knows comes from the essence of love itself, from of a divine source. But there's a conspiring here for that, maybe even within himself, maybe if not with amongst others, definitely, some dissension within his own self about still what's really important, still not being completely firm on his own position, and power in life, and prosperity enough to not let it be his ultimate focus. That if he truly is a King of Cups, I would expect to see an Ace of Cups here, but the grand prize in his eyes still is money and wealth and material gain, because there's some disparity here that's being, and look, the Empress here, I didn't even mean to do that, but the Empress here again, wow, and power. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I'm gonna see what's behind this Ace of Pentacles because I'm just curious, but there's some disparity, some despair altogether here, even with this Nine of Swords card behind here. Again, still not, and then this card, as opposed to, there definitely could be anxiety about the past, but this card with the Nine of Swords implies even more so that there's some anxiety about the future, maybe about being poor or being poor in spirit. That's what I ultimately hear. It could be actually poor, or it could be poor in spirit. Yep, and here's the Ace of Swords here. That's the truth. Or just being alone in some way, shape, or form, in a way that he didn't intend to be. Perhaps this King of Cups, who may have been a King of Cups more or less at heart, thought he could get to the bag first and get to the money later. And now as he's coming back around, coming to the wholeness of himself, maybe he was a little bit of a playboy, out in the field while he was getting that money. And now life has kind of, that's the Wheel of Fortune card from the very beginning. Life has now churned on. People are moving on. Time is passing. The thoughts that you had for your future are shifting, because your intentions were misdirected ultimately. And that can cause a bit of anxiety about how life gets to fare out on account of perhaps missing this happily ever after that you ultimately either would have wanted or you discovered now is more valuable than what you were staking your success and your satisfaction in. And I'm saying you often do that a lot, but I'm talking about the King of Cups. I even do that when I'm talking to people sometimes. I say you when I'm talking about like a third party. But trust me, I'm not talking directly to anyone in particular. But if it resonates, it resonates. And certainly this is a storyline here. And could, in fact, especially for us divine feminines, be a storyline where you were passed up, you were the object of your affections, didn't really reciprocate, didn't really see the value of your love and didn't really nurture your spirit and your, just didn't reverence your presence. A lot of masculines were, and naturally so, unfortunately, they were much more focused on material gain and conquering the land, as masculine energies have been conditioned to do, and making money and stability, and all that stuff is really fine and good, but not when it's at the sake of true happiness and satisfaction, and spiritual soundness. Like if you were out chasing the bag and you left your spirit on the curb, literally, now it's like you almost have to go back and reclaim that essence of you so that you can truly move that Wheel of Fortune forward holistically. So it's kind of, it's weird, but yeah, and that's what I was saying, like life has moved on. This is the feminine here, and it's a child here. This is really like spiritual essence moving this energy forward more than it necessarily is a masculine. But in the practical sense, it could be that feminines have moved on in new relationships and new connections, and what was once available to the delayed King of Cups is just not as easily accessible anymore. Because what was she supposed to do? Be single the rest of her life? This is a single woman's card, and she's happy in that singlehood and that she's satisfied with herself, but it doesn't mean that that was going to be the fate of her entire existence. And honestly, I'm seeing this connection here, that's what the anxiety is about, because there was some energetic projection, especially with this Knight of Wands. I'm hearing it now. Like, there was some energetic projection put forth to keep her in a holding position, like, I'm gonna get back, you know what I mean? While meanwhile, a lot of masculines was out here living la vida loca in the Knight of Wands energy, doing their thing, living it up, you know, and rightfully so, as we all have the choice to do. But there was some energy of, like plotting that once he got done, or when all else failed, perhaps he would come back and reclaim that gift, that pentacle that he feels. See how he's holding on to it here? That he feels entitled to, ultimately, just by the pure essence of there being an emotional attachment. No, that's not going to work for the karmic evolution, karmic creativity. You know, that's an imbalanced union, an imbalanced projection of two potential partnerships, where one is really catering to her own soul and her being and nurturing herself in the most high vibrational ways, and the other is just kind of like living a little bit reckless. It's the Knight of Wands, and at the not necessarily at the demise, although that could be the case, but definitely neglecting, I would say, and definitely taking for granted the essence of the feminine energy, as if, like I said, there's always going to be that entitlement. There will always be that attachment, and you can always come back and have it whenever you feel like it. And a lot of people have moved on from that, and that is the anxiety, you know. And I really don't, you know, I would say in some regards, perhaps it really is a pure regret, you know, where it's like, damn, the one that got away type of thing. But for some, it's really just a matter of feeling like you missed out. You know, so don't get finessed. If you got people coming back to the table offering you, making some grand offer or gesture or something that at least seems like a grand gesture, because in the disparity between these, somebody might come acting like they going to give you the world and they barely got 4 nickels to rub together, literally. But, you know, don't be finessed by it, because I feel like in a lot of energies now are just wanting to clinch the win. You know, not who wouldn't, you know, who wants to look back at their past actions and choices and feel any type of regret or remorse. And it's fine to feel that way, but the intention behind this offer now and this surge ahead and charge ahead, as I see it peeking up under me. I can't help it. It's not pure. In many ways, it's not pure. Maybe not the case for everybody, but I would just like to say, just be careful. Don't get finessed by energies that are going to be here for a good time, not a long time. They're here to conquer some energetic force, perhaps you, maybe even just to be able to see if they can still get it, if they still got it, you know, to stroke their own ego, literally, with the wand in his hand. And it's not really the essence of unconditional love that the King of Cups would offer in the highest vibration. It's tainted, you know, it's not something ain't clean in the milk, as they say. Yeah, that heartbreak card just popped out. It's that, and that's what it'll leave you feeling if you allow yourself to get finessed. Everything gets to be, and we're about to be in Mercury retrograde too in a few weeks, so that means the pre-shadow is about to start any day. That always brings up the past, not to mention Venus retrograde in Leo, not to mention the full moon supermoon that we just had in Aquarius and the supermoon that we're going to have in Pisces, there are a lot of offers and propositions and possibilities of partnership that are coming to a hard stop. You know, they're literally being laid to rest so that you can press forward and exactly. You can press forward and your your queendomship being the true object of affection, as the Queen of Cups is, and being safe and sound to receive and give love. You know, literally being secure in a partnership that is of the essence of you, that is purified in that exchange. That's not just going to look at your love as some come up or a coin or clout even, you know, just to even be connected to you, but is literally valuing the essence of what's in that cup for all that it is. Yeah, look at the Hierophant here. Look at that. That's the energy that you want. You know, something that in this vibration, the Hierophant is about matrimony and union and marriage, most simply put. You know, if that is the energy that you're calling in any way, shape, and form, because even if it's professional, you want the attraction to be pure. You don't want to be mismatched with people that are not in alignment with your professional ideals, you know, and your visions and things like that. Like someone that's more focused on productivity and the bottom line and just making hella money, where you're focused on serving community, you know, focused on the spirit of what you're creating and it being something that is impactful and impressionable, and very impressionable in this Hierophant sense, in a very high vibrational way, even in the sense of partnership for profession's sake, or for productivity's sake, or even for platonic friendships. You know, you got to be careful all around, as I've been saying very often. Like, as a masculine, if you still trying to hang around with Knight of Wands energies, but you really have ideals of being the King of Cups, it might be a thought to reevaluate your circle. Because if you want to be a faithful, love abiding, partner, divine partner, and you're running around with guys that are not on that vibration, that they're just looking to chase whatever skirt and, you know, where's the next party, you know, where's the turn up, you know, all this and that, you might get swept away in that wave without even meaning to be, without even the intention of it being so, but by association get caught up and perhaps forfeit the love of a lifetime, just trying to be a part of the boys. It could be the same in the feminine aspect too, but particularly masculine energy, we know, definitely deals with that vibration of temptation, you know. So you got to be clear about your connectivity. And yeah, here's a Sun card. Yeah, and here's the Page of Cups and the Page of Pentacles. And I would just say, this is the essence of those offers. That is exactly what it is. Matter of fact, I'm going to put it up here because it makes sense to me that at the core of it all, and the lowest vibration of what I'm talking about now. So you take the story as it resonates for you, because maybe you have someone past or new, returning or a fresh new love that is true to the game, you know what I mean, that really is looking to pour out their spirit to you in a loving sense and be authentic and true and really match your vibration of love holistically. That's beautiful. I pray it be so for everyone listening at some point. But I would like to say that, and here he is again, I saw him peeking out, but I would like to say that sometimes before that testimony comes the test of where you'll be presented with these offers. Like I said, at first glance, he just looked conservative and reserved. At first glance, he just looked like the King of Cups, the loving king of all kings, you know, but at heart, there's some underdevelopment here. There's something to be desired. This is a page and this is a page, you know, the Page of Cups. That offer, as I said, could be tainted with the fish in the cup. Page of Pentacles, he's still thinking small and playing small because he's still fixated on what? The pentacle. That's the greatest value that he is focused on at this time. So, and with the essence of the pages, it's even more of a regression from the Knight of Wands, because at least there's some maturity here, but this is pretty much like a childlike energy, that perhaps there's some unresolved childhood experiences that are creating blockages for this particular individual or individuals, some unresolved, debris of sorts. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, like some work that still gets to be done, so that this King of Cups can see the value of his love and therefore project the value of someone else's in its purest form. And that this Page of Pentacles can see the not just the value, but what am I trying to say? Because obviously money has value, but for it to be put in its place, for it to be contained in a way that's practicalized for what it's worth, but not idealized as the ultimate supreme force, you know what I mean? Like, as if money is everything, and it's not, as if, a man is measured by how much money he makes, or what car he drives, or even, what opportunities he has to offer, or what he has even accomplished in a sensational way, let alone by the measure of his own wand. No. We are rejecting that, for something that is much more productive and prosperous in nature, vibrant, vitalizing, as the energy of the sun is, that is, and not secretive either, like that is literally clear and exposed. When you think of the sun versus the moon energy, you can see in the light of the sun. There's nothing distorted about that reflection. You can see everything. You can see all the cards the person is holding, literally, especially with this masculine energy, where he's projecting one force or one persona, but in actuality, there's something deeper going on. The sun is the healing force that first and foremost can make him whole again, as I said, to be able to really kind of get to the root of his resistances and blockages, and perhaps even burdens about love and commitment and the true value of it, and even where he may have misstepped in the past, or just mismanaged his energy in a certain type of way here with the Knight of Wands, and how he can ultimately transmute that energy, whatever he learns of it, to bring about some brighter future on the horizon. Not looking back with that Eight of Wands in despair and feeling hopeless about the future with the Nine of Swords, and even feeling poor in spirit with the Five of Pentacles, but that there could actually be some hope of prosperity and pure procreativity, not let alone divine co-creation, in its purest sense. There's hope for that when you're willing to shed light on those spaces that are unfavorable and maybe a little bit unpleasant to confront, in a sense. So let's see what's on the top, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Oh, and I called it out. The Ace of Cups. See, and that to me is like confirmation that there could be hope for this cup to be that overflow, if he might stop rejecting it within himself, stop looking at the love that he's had to offer as something funny or tainted or weird or obscure. If he could find value in that, there could be the hope for that, for there to be an overflow, really truly seeing the value of the gifts that he possesses, even at this Page of Pentacles stage, so that he doesn't have to hold on to so much outside of himself, that he could really connect to the value. Yeah, here's the World card. Yep, the value from within, and the high priestess. Yeah, and that's those secrets that I was talking about, what's in the dark, like behind the veil. Some people don't want to look back there because, like I said, it's not always pleasurable what you may see, what you may find and learn about yourself, discover about the true nature of your spirit, why you do what you do, what you've done and how you've moved reflects the true nature of your spirit, or how aligned you are or misaligned you may have been, or maybe are even now. You got to be willing to release the objectifications of the world and the subjectivity to the world and its ideals about success and satisfaction and the sanctity of union and commitment and what that really looks like, in a very superficial way, and look ahead to some brighter possibility, something that's far more vital and I would say more vital than, what's the other word that I heard the other day? Vital versus, I can't think of it. It's another V word. Vital, and that's going to kill me when I hang up, when I stop this recording. But anyway, in another sense, not to make it all about this King of Cups, because it's really not all about him. It's about us all accepting this love from the divine, and it doesn't have to be limited or exclusive to the idea of God. It's about you aspiring to the highest level of it is for me, let me say, even though I don't confine God to God. I feel like God is much bigger than the 3-letter word that we have, defined God as. But for the sake of convention, I often say God because it just rolls off the tongue. But what I'm saying in this regard now is that if that's not something you subscribe to per se, or you call it by some other thing, is ultimately in its most simplistic form you really aspiring to the highest vibration and frequency of you, where you are fulfilled to the max. There's nothing lacking in you. There's nothing in the dark about the nature of your character, even the past experiences and the value and meaning that they have in, your life as it is and who you have been shaped and molded to be. You find value even in the most unpleasant things to perceive, to consider about who you are. And you're content with the experiences of life that have been divine to you and the ones that you've even created for yourself. And you reverence it for it bringing you to a present position of independence. You don't let it make you a victim. You don't let it diminish the spiritual essence of you, because this is the creativity here. This is from whence all comes. This energy here, this life force, and flow, this is spirit here. Pentacles are the last thing to be manifested. From this comes thoughts, and from thoughts then comes energy, which is the wands, and then from energy comes pentacles. From my perspective, others could look at it differently, but that's my hierarchy of the elements personally, that everything comes from a place of spirit, which often is very intangible in the first place. So if you're not willing to aspire and ascribe to it in your earthly form, to literally call it down into alignment, into existence, as with that high priestess card, to reach out for it, whether you can touch it or not, which mostly you can't, but to really try to find some energetic connection to the highest vibration of you that you may not even be able to really recognize in the physical form because of how your life has been, or the experiences that life has afforded you, or the projection of society, or whatever surroundings about you in general have said or defined you to be. This is all a personal, this is like a personal responsibility a journey, a pilgrimage, in a sense, that everyone gets to take. You don't have to. You can continue to idealize and literally idolize material gain, or even, carnal essence of us, our very, what do you call it? Physiological aspects of ourselves. That's not what I'm trying to say, but literally your wand and the things that you can actually sense and touch of yourself. Or you can aspire to this energy, which this is an implication that the nine of Pentacles gives is that she has, because her ultimate goal is this, even when she doesn't possess it. The Pentacles and the Cups are two different essences, two different suits, but because of her desire to be whole and complete, and this doesn't necessarily have to be marriage or partnership. This is just being fulfilled energetically and spiritually in everything that you do, and everything that you create, and everything that you connect to, and every way that you project yourself. That's the aspiration. When you have that aspiration, because this is only the next best thing from the Ten of Cups. This is about quantity. This is about quality. When you have an aspiration for a high quality of life, the Pentacles come follow suit. The Pentacles are attracted to that vibration. That's the way the world keeps us upside down, because it inclines us to pursue the Pentacles. And then once we get to the finish line in that regard, or maybe down to nothing, down to one, then we start rethinking, oh, well, what about my energy? What about love? Then we have to go backwards to go forwards. But when in the Nine of Pentacles state, this is someone that put the intangible, the spirit, before the sensational, that put God ultimately before the earth, the physical, the spirit before the body, recognizing that the body and the mind are merely a derivative of the spiritual essence of the nature of the vessel in the first place, that is the most sacred source and force. All right. So that's just the idea, just reiterating that thought. And that is what ultimately leads to this Sun, which is the happiest, literally the happiest, even happier than the Ten of Cups. This is what we call the happiest card in the deck. Complete magic in the human sense, that everyone is, when you think about the nature of the Sun, we're all vitalized by it. It's vital, not venomous. That's not the word I was looking for. I was hoping it would come to me, but it's not. But yes, that is the vitalization that we sensationalize as human creatures, but it's so much more than even what we experience it to be. Even that is beyond our reach and our tangibility in a sense. But it is still very much so sensational, as we can feel the heat of the sun. We can see the light. We see the trees and the earth growing on account of its vitality. All of these things that we still have a connection to, even from a very distant space. Such is the same for love in its most unconditional and purest form and essence. Okay, that is the aspiration. That is the inspiration. All right. And I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, stay solid. Peace.